You know what I think? I think 2024 is going to be a powerful year for lots of reasons. Politically, many countries around the world have election years this year. The USA, the UK, many countries. And there's big changes coming about. Of course, there's all this speak now of the Third World War as it's starting to get a little bit steamy over in relation to Israel and Iran. And so all that stuff's going to be coming out in the wash. But there's going to be a paradigm shift. And you see, we know this is happening because we can feel it. All this political stuff and all of this liberal stuff and all of this real battling going on in relation to the parties, left and right, mostly in America really. You know, they're making a big saga of everything as usual. But it's happening globally and we're starting to feel compromised, lots of us. And I was speaking in one of my nature videos about how the World Economic Forum is closing down all of these nature reserves. They don't want us in them, and so they are restricting us more and more and more if they get away with it. You see, that's the whole thing about the World Economic Forum. They will do all of what they intend to do if we allow them to. But if you don't comply, then they fall flat on their asses, don't they? And so, in recent times, the last few years, with all that saga going on, they bit off a whole lot more than they can chew, because a lot of it is coming back on them now. And there's been a shift in consciousness due to that, because many people woke up. Many people realised the nefarious nature of governments and the media and how they're all working together under the umbrella of globalism. So now we kind of like, we have an alertness about us. Some of us do. Some of them, I don't know what percentage it is these days, but of course they're still fast asleep. But even on a channel like mine, I've been speaking 14 years about the spiritual path, human psychology, philosophy, politics, a whole bunch of stuff, haven't I? And yet, the vast majority of you are still in a state of somnambulism. You're in a state of apathy, created by societally imposed fear and governance. You're still under the umbrella of that. And like I said the other day in the video, if you have a television in your house, then as much as you proclaim yourself to be a truther and, you know, a renegade and somebody that's fighting, you know, to bring the cabal down, as long as you have a television in your home, they've got you exactly where they want you. And so you need to have a look at that. And if you say, oh well, I just want to tune in just to know what they're doing to us, you don't need a television to know that. You can be very, very selective, like I am, about what you watch and the people that you trust delivering concise information to you. Got to swap hands. People that have done the work, people that it's their job to do it. You know, whether you watch Tucker Carlson or you watch Russell Brand or David Icke or Alex Jones or The High Wire, there's loads of channels out there now that you can choose from, and all you need to do is watch them because it's their vocation. They are ensuring what they say has got a high level of validity to it because their reputation is resting upon it. And so you can pretty well rest assured that they are deciphering all the bullshit which is coming out of the mainstream media. And so, if you have a television, you may say it was for the kids. Alright, well, I don't know, maybe get Sky or something if it's for the kids, and just subscribe to educational programs if it's about their education, because otherwise, people, it's about their indoctrination. Lots of people, they don't know the power of hypnosis and propaganda, subliminal and overt. They're not aware of it. And so we need to have a level of awareness about all these things, particularly for our children. We have to protect them. We can't allow them to get swallowed up in the propaganda and end up being very, very heavily compromised by them. You know the old saying from the Catholic Church, you know, give me a boy from 1 to 7 and I'll give you the man. You can't afford to allow society, jurisdiction and governance over them whilst you are fast asleep, whilst you are too busy working, whilst you're too tired to, you know, filter things and to ensure that, you know, they're not watching nonsense on their phones or laptops or whatever like that. You have to be very, very vigilant. Homeschooling is a real beneficial thing in these times because it's the schools where they get them, people. And if you've sent your kids through one of these schools, it's very difficult to turn them around unless you are combating what the state is saying and what society is saying on an ongoing basis. You talk to your kids, and whenever they say something, where do you hear that from? Oh, that's not true. You know, you've got to combat it, and you've got to give them another perspective. And then, you know, you'll be doing the best you can for them. And so I've been screaming and hollering for you guys to step it up for 14 years, haven't I? And it's difficult to say what it is. There could be, you know, a whole myriad of reasons why people just never, ever, ever will step up their game. And it's just a simple thing like, oh my God, this is like reading a book. How many of you are absolutely terrified at a book which is like closing on 700 pages? And it's a subject matter which is esoteric. It's not, you're not going to be finding this stuff on CNN, people. And you're going to have to think about it. And you would have already have to have read about it for many years if you're going to be grasping it. Otherwise, it's just going to be words. It's just going to be text on paper. And so maybe that's why you don't want to engage with it. Because there's no point for you. But what I'm saying is 2024, it might just be the year when you step up your game. It might just be the year when you say to yourself, fuck it, I'm going to read a fucking book for the first time in my life. I read the Holy Bible scriptures of 66 books in 40 days, people. Non-stop 40 days. And that is 1,501 pages or something like that. It's 2,200,000 words. And so I was determined and desirous that I was going to be doing that. And so I did it. 40 days out of my life. I had the time and I put in, I don't know, I suppose, you know, maybe 4-6 hours a day or something like that. It was a long time, you know. But we have to do this. And of course, that sort of thing I've been doing for the past 14 years. Reading. And albeit I've already read my book 100 times over, I'm now reading it again in new eyes, and I'm going to be picking out the highlights, and I'm going to be laying this stuff on a platter for you. But I'm not going to be treating you like children. I'll leave that for your mothers. But I'm going to give you an overview, and if there is something deep down within you, i.e. a spirit, that spirit may call you to task, like it did me all those years ago. And if your spirit calls you to task, then you'll read that book, even if it's only like 2 pages a day or 5 pages a week. Set yourself a task that you're going to do something, and you're going to complete something, maybe for the first time in your lives. I know there's lots of you that have got mental issues, you've got addiction issues, you've got general lethargy issues. Reading a book is something that isn't going to sit well with you, and you think that you are going to be gaining wisdom from YouTube, and you're absolutely not. You will never gain an ounce of wisdom from YouTube. You will only ever gather up a little bit of superficial surface information, which will mean nothing to you because it's got no foundation. And in actual fact, it will be a detriment to you, because you will think that you know stuff, and you will spurt off and spout off and spiel off things that you've heard someone else say, but you've got no idea what the veracity is of what they've said. You have to go to source and do it yourselves, people. And so what I did, and what I always do, I go back to the earliest times of this stuff. And for instance, with my religious studies, I go back to, the Nag Hammadi scrolls, Dead Sea Scrolls, anything that's been written about anybody else, anywhere over the world. Look into mythology, look into ancient history, look high and low, long and broad. And then you will put pieces together, because you'll discern then that all of this stuff from the Bible has been plagiarized. Every single bit of it. They've just supplanted their own names, like Yahweh and Yeshua or Jesus. These people, these egregores, these ideas have been, or have pertained to our history and our mythology for thousands of years. And this is why I'm always having a go at the dumb Christian, because they are as dumb as they come. They really are as dumb as they come. Because when I met in recent times a pastor, and I was speaking to him about all the books I'd read in recent times and what they'd meant to me, and the current book I was reading, this, that and the other, and he just looked at me with this haughty look, and he gets his right hand and he pats it on top of the Bible, which was on his desk, and he said, "These are the only books I need to read." And I said, "Don't you think that's a little bit myopic? Don't you think there's more to the world? All I need is within these books." And, he put 35 years into his life in that realm, and he hadn't got a single fucking thing to show from it. He had never actually had a spiritual experience. He'd never encountered God or Jesus or Satan, anybody or anything. He was a dumb fuck motherfucker. And a very sad person indeed, because he thought he was over and above everybody else. And, the irony of it, he was the lowest. And there was another pastor that I used to go and see, and he'd had out-of-body experiences. He was terrorised from the age of about 8 years old, when his mother's boyfriend came to live in their house. And he said that the day the mother's boyfriend came into the house, there was an evil energy attached. And he was attacked in the astral for several years. Probably right up until he was about 15 years old, 16 years old, something. And, he had some sort of a reason why he believed in the Saviour, because he knew evil was real. And so he headed towards the light out of sheer terror, I would have thought. But the first pastor had none of that. He didn't have any stories to tell. Ridiculous. In actual fact, he had one story which he used to tell everybody. And it was that he said that he was cycling around America for about 3 years, which I think is a crock of shit, more like about 3 fucking weeks, because he didn't learn anything on his journey. And he was tired of eating bologna, and he prayed to God, I'm so tired of eating bologna. Please provide me with something more exciting and nourishing. And that night, as he was setting up camp, someone came over and invited him to go and eat with them. And this couple that invited him had just bought a whole leg of beast. And so he stayed with these people eating beef, big fat steaks for the next 3 days. He said, thank you, God. And that was how he knew there was a God. And I went, is that all you fucking have? Is that all you fucking have? An instance of providence, which, you know, is just fucking coincidence. These things happen to everybody. You know, when you've got no money, you go, oh, fucking hell, I just wish I could have some money. And then you find a tenner on the floor and you go, oh, thank you, God. You know, all these sort of things. We call them synchronicities, don't we? And so what I'm saying to you people, and, you know, those of you that watch my videos, in recent times, the viewers have become less and less. One of the reasons is I'm so prolific in my videos, and people can't keep up with those. Another reason is that I'm so broad in the things I speak about, and people don't have the time or the leisure to be that free just to sit down and, oh, I'll watch this video about him foraging, or, you know, him speaking about, you know, religion in the graveyard, or I'm going to watch this cooking bloke. They don't have the time for that. They've got like an hour, you know, a few times a week, and he's grab, whatever they're going to get the most mileage out of. And so, you know, they'll tune into a channel which they know they're pretty guaranteed to get a certain something. You see, it's like going to a restaurant where you know what's on the menu, and it's dependable because it's always the same. My menu is always varied. One day I'm serving you Chinese, the next day I'm serving you like Indian food, or another day I'm serving you Turkish kebabs or something. It's always different, isn't it? And some people like that. Those of you who have the leisure to engage with that, then that's fine, you love that. But most people don't. And so they will only hit on the videos which in the title's got something that they're hoping is going to be a semblance of the true awakened brave. And so, of course, every now and again I do these videos. And so the last video I put up about the most spiritually empowering video, how many people are ready for that? Very, very few are ready for that. Why? Because you, the ones that know about this stuff, the ones who have an allegiance with me, you have suffered. And you are suffering, and you know what that's about, and you know great things come out of suffering. If people haven't really suffered, or they've not got the idea that suffering is good, because most people, they think suffering is bad, and they will shy away from it. And in the preface of my book, I'm speaking about the dark night of the soul, and a psychologist speaks about the last thing any doctor should do if they have an awareness of somebody being in the dark night of the soul. They don't have awareness of this spiritual stuff. They'll just think it's depression, and it's because you're living a shit life, and they want to give you fucking pills, or, you know, some shit cognitive behavioural therapy advice. They won't point you in a spiritual direction because they don't know about any of that stuff. And there's lots of people out there which are, you know, ignorant, and I know through many years of people watching my videos, they are still entirely ignorant. And I'm like, my God, how could you have watched me for like 10 years and have none of it penetrate? Because what you're saying in your comments tells me that nothing has got through to you. There hasn't been the motherboard there to receive the information, and you haven't had experiences which have written upon your motherboard information which you have archived, and then you call upon and you make comparisons against. Lots of people's minds don't have the ability to be able to do that. They really are just like goldfish. They can't put the pieces together. And so there's many reasons. And, you know, all awoken, intellectual, enlightened people have spoken in this way forever. And it's just how it is. It's just the way it is. But, you know, there's been many of you over the years that have conveyed your level of appreciation in some shape or form, and you come out of the woodwork or from under your stone having watched my videos for 7 years, and it's kind of like, wow, you know, this channel would be a whole lot better if I knew about you people, because if I had more of an allegiance, more people who were getting what I'm saying, more people expressing how they feel and what similes they've had, telling their story, you know, this and the other, then there'd be a community, and I would know many of you. But as it is, I know very, very few of you. A very select few who have the confidence to be able to reach out to me and, you know, want to extend their relationship. And so some of you will know over the years that there's been, you know, quite a few that have come to see me, and you know, we've done chats, and you know, we've been speaking for a long time, and I'm still, you know, pretty close to a lot of people. But it's only a very small minority when we look at things. And all those that have been watching me for years, you know, I don't know what it is with you guys. You're in prison, aren't you? You're in your own prisons. And I think mostly it just pertains to your insecurity, your fear, and, you know, that's what keeps you in prison. Maybe something really, really tragic in your life will shake you out of that. Because if you have deep tragedy in your life, then you'll make certain realizations about how foolish lots of things that we do are, and the things that constrain us and contain us into be little me. You know, when you come out of that, you'll realize that you are the fucking cosmos, and that, guys and girls, is very emancipating.